Today I have Dr. Pamela Sterling. She's been helpful in my life, and I think what she's doing is rad. So I wanted to chat with her today, and I wanted to share that chat on this channel. So my question is, how did you get to where you're at, and why do you do what you do?
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brad. I appreciate you having me today. And it's an honor to be here with you. And to start off, with it's it started a long time ago. It started basically in my childhood because my father, who is deceased, had mental health disorder. And so he inspired me to be in mental health. Mhm. And so kind of knew as a kid, that having uh, mental health issues, it really wasn't. It was really more of like exercise, as far as if you take care of your body, you have to take care of your mind.
Mhm.
So growing up, I was always taught to look at you have to take care of your mind. And so I don't mind saying this, my dad had schizophrenia, and uh, it was considered, growing up, that was one category where a lot of you know a lot of atrocities happen. Okay.
Mhm.
And but as far as my uh father goes, he always had mental health, psychiatrists, therapists, and that was kind of the norm. That was the norm. So it was looked upon to take care of your mental health as normal. So that inspired me today to be a psychologist and therapist because it was just something normal for me to, know that mental health is a good thing. And everyone is to take care of their mental health and not a stigma.
Mhm. Right on. So
Yeah.
where did you go to first start learning how to be a counselor and all that stuff? When did that start?
Started in Houston, Texas, and I had a desire since, like I just said, since I was little
Mm-hmm.
to be therapist, counselor, psychologist, because I saw my dad, but also in the school systems. I want to back up a little bit too. Growing up, we always had a counselor, and a counselor would come in every day. So um, that inspired me too. My dad and the different counselors that would come in, just talk to the classroom or pull us to do mental exercises. So once I graduated from high school, I put in my diary that I was going to be a school psychologist and a therapist when I was 17, and uh, and a teacher. So I started off first as a teacher, and then as I evolved, I got my doctorate in counseling
Nice.
from Texas Southern University, and which I thoroughly, enjoyed. I lived in Beaumont, Texas, but I didn't want to. I got, accepted in other doctoral programs, but I didn't want to stay in Beaumont, Texas. I wanted to go to Houston, Texas, and particularly Texas Southern University because I had another cousin, and he was going to their law school, and so that school. So that's particularly why I went to Texas Southern University for my
Hmm.
doctorate degree in counseling.
That's cool.
And I graduated in year 2013.
Nice.
Mhm. Thank you.
So you wanted to be a teacher and then a counselor, and I kind of noticed that those are the same thing, kind of. And I just kind of think of you being a mentor also, and that's
Mhm.
cool. You chose this mental health personally, but now you've branched out and you do it for lots of people. So is there any ongoing education that goes with that, or how do you keep yourself fresh, and how do you keep enthused about doing this kind of work?
Well, well, one thing I'll say about being in counseling and in psychology, there we have continuous, ongoing. We have to get continuous credits. We have to do workshops all the time, all the time, all the time. Okay, all the time. But I'm an avid reader where I always read anyway.
Hmm.
You know, if I'm not doing a workshop, um, then I'm personally reading, self-help books and different books by like Dr. David Stu, um, I've read books by Dr. Cars Welsh. And I'm just always reading because this is one field where you have to stay abreast of the new knowledge
Hmm.
that comes in all the time.
Hmm.
Even have subscriptions to psychology magazines as well. Also, I'm a member of National Counselors, Society
Nice.
as well. So they offer workshops to attend as well.
Nice.
Hmm.
I remember working with you a little bit, and then all of a sudden you share Robert Greene's book with me. And I was like, that's cool. I've
Yes.
been following him and reading some of his stuff too. So we seem like a good
Hmm.
fit for that
Hmm.
also.
Yes. Uh, Now, like I said, I love reading,
Hmm.
and my approach to therapy is more like eclectic, which means that it's whatever suits the client. It could be cognitive behavior therapy, it could be solution focus. And so I'm continuously reading and being introducing myself and being versed. Like I said, we do have to have a lot of credit hours, but I take that upon myself to be educated on different material,
Hmm.
because uh, like Robert Greene, now he's the 48 laws of power.
Hmm. Yeah.
And many he's very, very interesting. That would be a book I would recommend to anyone who would be seeking to better themselves mentally.
Hmm.
He has a lot of books out. Matter of fact, if you go to Barnes and Noble, there's also one of his books is one a day. You learn a new principle,
Hmm.
a new principle. He
That's
has
cool.
that one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't read any of his books all the way through, but I've read portions. I've seen him on some of the social medias. He kind of posts snippets from all that stuff, but it always resonates with me. Just
Mhm.
one of those guys I have on my bookshelf, or
Uh-huh.
my virtual bookshelf, even if you will. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool. I think you had Doctor Amen too. I think was another one.
Uh-huh. Okay. Dr. Amen. Dr. Amen is one who is, I believe, the ants.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that right? Yeah.
Automatic, automatic negative thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh, yes. So though he's another powerhouse
Hmm.
as well. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So you get your education from the structured portion from the university, but also these other guys that are, they have to be kind of from the same type of background. And then they've written some books and made it easier to digest.
Right. Absolutely. Um, just like it kind of some of them go from teaching to to psychology as well. The different psychologists, they're gonna some of the principles apply for the teaching in the teaching field as the same as in, you know, psychology. Well, and I can see that because it's human behavior.
Hmm.
Psychology is a lot of um, human behavior. And so some of it over, fluctuates from one discipline to the next um, discipline. Yeah, like Eric Erickson, he hierarchical of needs, so we have to consider that the basic foundations of a person is, you know, before we can get to their mental, we got to consider that a person needs basic things: food, house, and shelter, right?
Hmm.
So the same principles like when we're dealing in psychology. So looking at the different individuals we deal with, we have to approach it from a humanistic point of view too. The human that meets the human's needs, because everyone is coming, everyone, no matter race, skin color, they're human.
Yeah.
And so everyone have that same basic need, so in other words, if I get a client, that might be struggling with those basic needs, then hey, then with therapy we're going to go with trying to get those basic needs, work that out with them. Okay.
Hmm.
And then move up the hierarchical uh, of
Man, that's pretty logical.
psychology. Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
reminds me, you're following sanity. That's what's coming to my mind, listening to like what you're up to, like you study what sane and normal behavior should be. And then
Hmm.
I never thought about all the foundational stuff, but yeah, you got to have all that in order too. Got to have a good place to
Hmm.
sleep, best food to eat that you can find. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Like
Hmm.
how you have those connected. It's all connected, but
Hmm.
yes, sane behavior.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, was also kind of thinking like as far as some of the chats that we've had, I've I came into it thinking like I'm gonna go do this counseling and it's gonna be all about this is what I need to change, this is what I'm getting wrong, this is how I need to be better. But it wasn't all that. It was some of
Hmm.
that, but what I was surprised about was sometimes a person has something right and maybe another person that they're with doesn't agree for some reason or another, and you help me to actually advocate for myself. That was kind of a bonus surprise I wasn't expecting. It was kind of a reassurance of sometimes we're doing the right thing. We just need somebody else to come and help share that message with us. So I appreciate what you've done with that too. That's just another side of the sanity and counseling coin that I appreciate. So
Oh, you're welcome. You're
yeah,
welcome. You're welcome.
well, you do it as a profession. is it your sole source of income then?
Yes, being a therapist. Yes.
Nice. I'm sure it's busy enough that it kind of has to be, huh?
Mm, yes. Kind of just you just got to manage your just manage your schedule, and a balance because in other words, I can't, what I teach in therapy is to balance your schedule, so I have to balance my schedule too.
Mhm.
So,
Nice, yeah.
mhm,
And
mhm.
if you love the work that you're doing, I'm sure you love helping others and helping set people on the right track. That makes the rest of it bearable and manageable.
Well, right. And I don't really, therapy is to me is not really work.
Hmm,
It's a calling,
nice.
you know. Yes. I love what I do. And I believe it called me.
Hmm,
So, mhm. And I just and I answered the calling
that's
because
awesome.
you know anybody could easily get burnt out if it's not their calling
Hmm,
at all, or they don't take proper, and that's in any job,
hmm,
or they don't have a balance on life. But it makes life easier if you're doing it because you love people and you want to see other people living in their ultimate state of being. So
hmm.
that's what's important. It's not considered a job when you actually know that's your purpose.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I can tell by the way that you do your sessions with us, you
Mhm.
genuinely care, you pay attention to what we said, and
Mhm.
you always have valuable bits of information of where we should go from where we're at. And you remember
Mhm.
our whole story from session to session. So
Mhm.
you've become
Mhm.
more like a friend than a counselor or a
Mhm.
therapist, and I think that's awesome. But it just, again, just supports the
Mhm.
fact that you love this. This is your calling, and that's awesome.
Mhm.
I kind of talk about that on this channel a lot. That's what I'm trying to get people to go for. If they're miserable doing what they're doing, then maybe it's not their calling, and it's a it's a guidance mechanism to send you somewhere else. But I
Yeah.
get the same
Yeah.
feelings too when I do the right things.
I totally agree. And part of being counseling, they have career counseling. So
Hmm.
I totally agree on the career, putting on my career counseling hat on that one. Um, if if you know, yeah, if you don't love what you do, then it is you do need to, yeah, because people lives are on the line,
Hmm.
and so you have to show up every day at more than 100%.
Hmm.
You already have to be there when when you show up.
Hmm.
And so if you're already doubting and not not liking what you do, because there's going to be ups and downs in everything, but the purpose is that your purpose,
Yeah.
and so then that, just like in teaching, you know some people want to do teaching for summer breaks, but that's not the reason why anyone should teach.
Hmm.
So in it and it's a direct reflection on some individuals who are burnt out, because if you're not in it for the right reasons, then it's going to be easy to burn out on
Hmm.
anything when you don't have the right reason for being in there. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, think about that. So, what have you used to help you find the calling? Like, what's your connection? I suppose I'm thinking there's got to be some spiritual connection guiding you, and reassuring you that you've picked the right calling.
hmm Now, with mental health is what I do know is that mental health is a daily exercise. It's like I view it as like riding a bicycle. You got to get it in. You have to, it's for a spiritual. I am a Christian therapist as well. Uh, as far as spiritual, the Bible tells us to renew our mind daily.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a guiding principle that I take serious. Renewing your mind daily means you have to do something mentally.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just let thoughts come.
Yeah.
you know, because think of it. The word says renew. Why do you need to renew anything if everything is already going to be perfect? So already that tells you, no, um, if I got to renew my mind, then it means I need to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's not perfect. So that means it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process, not just for me, for everyone. It's an ongoing process. And so I take joy, in teaching, how to renew your mind and challenge anxious and negative thoughts. Um, because thoughts, whether they're external or they're internal, determines the direction you go to in your life and the emotions you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take that serious, renewing your mind
Very,
daily.
very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you call us Christians too, and we were having troubles, so we prayed for help, and you came into our lives. So you can apply that to troubles big and small.
Amen. Now, and being a Christian doesn't mean, a lot of people, we don't mean it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It means that we're imperfect people, working on progress every day.
Mm-hmm.
Learning means that we're learning every day. Mistakes help us learn. Yes. If we had it all together, we probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So, you know, just like in China, their work of art, if they have like a crack in it or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they call it a masterpiece. So understanding that we're perfect just the way we are,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly imperfect.
That's great.
And then building ourselves up and working on ourselves in progress every day. That's one of my pillow stones of beliefs.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, that
Mhm.
art you're talking about, I've come across that in the last couple days, a couple times. They
You
fill.
serious?
I am. Yeah,
Wow.
they fill the cracks with gold, and they don't try to hide the mistake.
Hey,
Yeah,
exactly. It
yeah,
makes it even more beautiful.
yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's always good to have somebody in your life telling you these things, like, because I think it's human nature maybe to try to attain perfection.
And if we're looking at perfection is really going to be subjective anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm a mechanic and I work on machines, and there is a perfect way by the book to fix some machines, and then
Uh-huh.
there's the way that we do it, and we're living around those machines and working around those machines and know what it's going through, this or that. So there's a lot of room
Right.
to to make things work in the environment they're in. I guess we're no different for our
Yeah.
mental
Yeah.
things and
Now,
physical things.
right. Now that's going to be more Aristotle, because Aristotle says something is perfect when it fulfills its function, right?
Hmm.
See, there's more than one definition of what perfect.
Right on.
You know, if we're looking at Plato, he's going to be looking at perfection as more abstract and subjective. Yeah. And then we're getting into philosophy with that, you know.
I like it.
Now, but as far as psychology, there's no such thing as perfectionism because individuals, have flaws.
Always will.
Yeah. 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 And hey, that's why we have a brain, and the brain doesn't fully develop until we're 25. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It just what means that, hey, you have healthier approaches to life.
It's ready for business.
Right. And that's that humanistic view that I was talking about with like Carl Rogers, becoming one's best self rather than achieving a perfect state. Let me leave it like this because some
Oh,
people are gonna think, hey, you know, they're gonna try to still think about perfection. We gotta look at it like this. We are inherently flawed, and perfection, is unattainable. But guess what? You can always strive for excellence and you can achieve excellence
that's great.
and progress and improvement. And growth and learning. And so when we think of things in this way, it allows us to grow and become more than we ever thought of than having some kind of final perfect state.
Right on. But excellent is
Hmm.
what we can attain. That's cool.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, excellent. And two, if you want to look at it, and we're looking at it in psychology too, you we want to look at perfect as having peace.
Awesome.
Okay, you can't get any better than that, right?
No, that's very satisfying.
Yeah, very satisfying. Yes, yes.
Yeah, thinking about peace or perfection, if I don't have either, like if things don't go perfect for me, I kind of probably feel bad for a minute, but then it reminds me of the one that is perfect. So
Right.
God, the one that loves me and created everything, is perfect. And it just
Yeah.
reminds me that nothing here is gonna be. If I found that perfection that I was looking for on the earth, I wouldn't ever have a reason to look for him. So I'm glad he built it that way. And I'm
Right.
glad that that is where it reminds me to go. 'Cause it can be depressing trying to chase excellence and perfection and not getting there. But yeah, it
Hmm.
just helps for me to be reminded, oh yeah, there's one that is. So ask him for help.
Right. And making continual improvement is perfection, just making just continual progress. And that's how we have to look at, I believe we have to look at our day each day is to make, to put one foot in front of the other instead of always trying to look at the staircase. You can't look at the whole staircase is going to overwhelm you. Just take one step at a time, and that is progress. Yeah.
I get to look at the staircase one step at a time because I'm also in maintenance. So sometimes I got
Uh-huh.
to work on the stair step itself.
Okay. Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So you understand the mechanics. It's just one step.
Yep. Just one
one,
step.
one step.
A lot of people just
Yeah.
walk right over it, don't think nothing of it.
Right.
But when it's broken,
Yeah.
you notice.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. It's like it's like having all your hands and you never really be grateful about it. Oh, but if you get one of these fingers missing, you're gonna understand the importance.
Yeah.
Your whole your fingers and everything.
Yeah. Your whole
Yeah.
being suffers.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just say, your big toe. You lose a big toe. And big, some people may think, hey, them toes, they mean a lot. If you ever lose one, it's gonna throw you off balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be spiritually interpreted too.
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
And that keeps everything in balance and perspective. Because just say in the house of God, everyone doesn't have the same position, but that doesn't make them not as important to. And we, as humans, need to look at that and not compare ourselves to others. You're important. You're just playing a different position. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
whatever part you were chosen to be, that's perfect. That's what you need to be the best at.
Exactly. If you need to be in the background, what I call it, hey, I can be, I can, in other words, everyone not a leader too, but we need followers. Whatever part you play, hey, do your best at it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I was talking to a guy yesterday, just an old friend of mine, and he was letting me know how he always thought highly of me, wished he could be like me and do some of the things I did. I'm like, wow, all right. So the answer I got internally, spiritually to that was I got to keep doing the things I was doing that he saw so that I can keep being that person and not let it go to my head, I guess was the whole idea of the thought that I had. But it's
Mhm.
great when somebody can tell you, hey, you're on the right track, you helped me out. That's great. I love that. That's
Mhm.
a reward that
Mhm.
I get from doing this sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it also it helps me to learn the lesson even further by doing something that can teach somebody else. I'm sure you find all that kind of stuff too in your practice. Just another
Mhm.
benefit of doing it, built-in benefit.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. What I realized is that, with our Heavenly Father, nothing in life is wasted. No experience that we have experienced, whether we call it good or bad, none of them are wasted. They're all they're all a learning experience. They're all a learning, and a lot of times they call that imitation. Like, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. They see you, and you inspired them, Mr. Brand. And so they they see they see, hey, when you shine, you give other people the right to be themselves. When you're in your own zone, then it automatically liberates them to say, hey, Miss Brad is doing it. I can do it too. You know, um, and it's not copying you, but they see, hey, he's like the same thing when I saw the other counselors growing up. It was, hey, I see them. That's something I want to do. Not in a competition or anything, but more so, they showed me. Even some of the counselors I had, they had children with disabilities, and uh, about one of them had. Let me see. Her name was Mrs. Briggs. It looked like she had two boys with disabilities. Not only did she, like what you're talking about, other people see your light. Not only was she a counselor, she never was ashamed of her kids. She never was ashamed of their mental, you know, health disorder. And as a kid too, I saw her always have her kids with her, whether it was after school or she needed to get them. And I was just a little girl, I think 7 or 8, and not really understanding much at that age. That made me too look at her and say, I want to be able to do that to, yeah, acceptance, love for all, really, you know. Um,
Very cool.
yeah, and I saw her, she didn't treat her sons like they had disabilities. So that's that's what I grew up seeing, and that inspired me even so, even so with my dad having schizophrenia with him, always taking his medication, always doing what he needed to do, holding down 2 jobs, and seeing that taking care of your mental health is not a stigma, it's a way of life. Hmm.
That's awesome.
And it's important to show up as authentically you, not someone else. Yeah,
Right on.
yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
that's a lesson I've learned in the last few
Hmm.
years, is to be just that.
Right.
Be honest
Good.
about what you've been called to do and go try to do
Hmm.
it.
Right, right. That's good. That's good. And say continue to be a light, you continue to be a light. That's awesome that he saw that
Yeah.
in you and you inspired him to be all he could be.
And it was while he was working
Mhm.
in his shop that was his own business, and I was proud of him for what he was doing. And then he tells me that. I was like,
And
well,
you didn't
wow, dude.
know. Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
it is cool.
And you you didn't know that you did the same for him.
Yeah.
Well, that's woo,
Yeah.
what a powerful story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just the
Like
hand
your
of,
own light, you're reflecting. It's reflecting back.
yeah.
His
Oh, yeah.
y'all reflecting back towards one another.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome. Yes.
Just
Hmm.
the hand of God guiding us to have that interaction that day. I know
Yeah.
that now. I've been doing that long enough. I've seen it a few times.
Hmm.
Just every time you
Absolutely.
just got to say, thanks, God. That was awesome.
Mhm.
I see
Yeah.
you.
That's one of those, what I call those little God winks.
Oh, yeah.
He just winks.
Yeah. Yeah. The more that you see, the more you're able to see. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's what we're here for.
absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
it's what's guiding us to be rad today. I appreciate
Hey,
how
love
rad you're
being
being.
rad.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. We could do
Mhm.
this again sometime. It's been great.
All right.
I learned some more.
Look.
I learned some more about I should probably take more time thinking about how I can help people rather than build machines and try to be away from people. So thank you for that lesson, even in this sit down today. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Okay. Well,
All right.
enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for this.
Thank
You
you.
bet.
All right. Have a great
You
day.
too. Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.